I'm delighted to be here. It's so nice to meet all of you, even if it's only in the ether. 25 countries from Argentina to Nepal, 1,000 people on Occupy. Isn't technology wonderful? This couldn't have happened 6 months ago before COVID. We would all have been trying to find hundreds of pounds to see what each other has to say across the world. But as the threat from COVID increased, library services across the world rapidly realigned, and we saw a dramatic transition to online provision at an unprecedented speed. The digital pivot provided a shift for us from collections to connections. So this is a unique moment in time for us to explore opportunities and experiences during this period. And like the rest of the world, the public library is facing a social, cultural, and technological tsunami. This pace of change is phenomenal and is only going to continue. So we need to begin to think like a new player in this constant time of change. It's a difficult financial and political climate. So how do we reinvent our network of public libraries to deliver a better, fairer, smarter, and more democratic society? The world has never changed so quickly. And by the end of 2020, the number of internet-connected devices will top 50 billion. Digital has undoubtedly changed the way we find information and absolutely changed the way we communicate. How often do we see people, this is their social gathering, but all they're doing is staring at their phones? It's changed the reading experience, the way we want to read, the formats we want to use, and the ways people learn have been transformed. COVID has forced a rapid digital pivot that will change us and our libraries forever. And as once books were the only currency for Joe Public to learn, and the public library filled that gap, now it has never been easier to access information and knowledge, to learn and read without libraries. And people underestimate us because they've forgotten just how many times our business has been disrupted over the centuries. They've forgotten how we survived those disruptions so many times, and yet we continue to be embedded in society's community, cultural, and democratic life. We have centuries of experience of adapting and transforming. And when COVID hit, you stepped up fast. I've got a list here. I'll read it off, but it doesn't even begin to touch the size of the number of fabulous things that libraries across the globe have done. From virtual story times to click and collect, virtual book clubs, improved web content, and your social media got grown up and smart and recognised as valuable at last. You were trusted for information, and people were actually phoning patrons to check on them. You did podcasts with history and heritage trails, Borrow a Bot, contactless mobile apps, content management systems, and wonderful things like making your Wi-Fi available when the library was closed, hotspot lending. I could go on and on. It was a tremendous amount of on the fast toes, innovative thinking. You stepped up rapidly. And you fast-tracked contactless apps, which is close to my heart. And at Solus, we now have 6,000 across the globe, delivering for people without contact. You pushed the discovery layers and routes to services and new digital experiences. And digital will continue to change rapidly. And we need to keep an eye on how this is happening. 5G, for example, will have a huge impact, and with the biggest uses for it in virtual and augmented reality. Phones will transform into devices meant to be used with virtual reality headsets. And so how will that change your plan and your thinking? People will become more content hungry, and the amazing collections and treasures public libraries hold make valuable, engaging virtual content. What we have to think of is, how will this change our plans? In the past, or pre-COVID, these things seemed rather distant, but now I believe people are taking digital so seriously that we are thinking far enough ahead to begin to understand how 5G can impact or change the way the public library will be, look and behave in the future. COVID has let us see the power and the reach investing in our digital platforms and tools can give libraries, and enabled us to be a game changer. But what it's done in itself is no big deal, but it frees people up to foster community, to support learning and employability, and to enable innovative digital education, to support entrepreneurs and smart citizenship. But we must now pull it all together into a coherent view if we are to become what I would like to see, the go-to community catalysts and powerhouses. We know we can be that, not everybody else does. So engaging that new multifaceted connected customer requires new interaction channels, delivery models, and personalised services. And I'm afraid to say, from what I've seen, only a few of us are delivering this well. But you can provide a cost-effective, rich and trustworthy digital offer, and you can do it better than many other services because you value privacy and you refuse to exploit users' private data. Now is the time to replicate the access, value and trust that people have of us in the physical world, to replicate it in the digital world. So what we need focus on a bit is a Netflix type of libraries, something that makes the public see us as digitally astute. Netflix, only better. So lose the fear. You can see the future as a scary unknown or as a very real opportunity to plan and prepare for. Lose the fear of seizing the opportunities digital presents, of not having the organisational structure or budget to deliver, of just going for it, to get brave and take risks. I think if one thing COVID has shown us is that we can step up rapidly and innovate and find the best of the talent that we have in our teams and make things happen fast. So get brave and take risks. Some of the things facing us, I think, are not only problems, but huge opportunities. And one of the things that I see most is a developing mistrust of government, because we are that rare public institution that bucks this trend. We can and we do underpin and support our communities. We are places where all kinds of people can gather, and this is the best way to repair the fractured societies COVID has compounded. So we need to promote and emphasise that USP, our ethics and our values, and we need to become the go-to people. And we are also going to be faced by growing social and income inequality. This will drive problems that will be felt very acutely at the public library. such as homelessness, which many of us are already used to. But this is likely to become much more challenging as safety nets for mental health and other social services are impacted. So become the go-to people. What I say is have a plan, have ideas and solution. Take those to the funders, to the purse holders. Take them solutions, not problems. This is a bit of my bugbear because I'm amazed at what libraries do and what you're doing across the world. It is fantastic, but most people still think of us as slightly on the verge of being obsolete. So poor library marketing and promotion is a big issue for us. Many of us, during the COVID epidemic, I think we found that we didn't even have customers' emails or all of them. So we do so much, we do it so well, but we're too busy quietly preaching to the converted like ourselves. But if we want to be community powerhouses, we need to let customers and funders know. We need to show them just what we can do and what we could do. The F word, funding, I think burnout from our battle for funding has been tremendous over the years. And I think it's likely to get worse for many of us. So we need to give the funders reasons to keep us open and thriving and making a difference. So again, I come back to this. You know what you can do. You're going to see over the next few days fabulous work across the globe. Package it into a plan and say, go to the funders and say, this is what the public library could do. This is how we're going to make a huge difference. So be brave. You have to think again, how can I realign my budget from collections to connections? And maybe it's time to do something radical about that. Again, we tend to think we can do everything and we can't. So I think we need to look at our team skills. We need other professions in our teams. We need fundraisers, event managers, social media people. And a lot of the people you have already will have some of those skills. So it's how can you nurture that to get us to a point where we have a better team skills or mix. And I do believe that library education in schools will need to change as a result of COVID. We need skills that can help us put a greater emphasis on community engagement. But again, we need all these new skills, but we want them to be grounded in our professional ethics and values. Spaces and places. Our spaces have changed and they'll continue to change as contactless experiences and technologies become the preferred options. So rethinking your spaces with your community can help reinstate your library as that heart. This Australian social, all digital library cafe bar was well ahead of its time. It was all digital as e-resources, but with coffee, wine and conviviality. A great idea, well ahead of its time, and something I think some of us are going to have to be revisiting. And across the world, the best libraries, and we all get to see them now and again, have become part of the solution. Fabulous spaces with flair, versatility and variety, with leaders who have coaxed the funders and the purse holders into seeing just the tremendous value that the public library can bring. Australia, my favourite place, seems to me is building its way out of the crisis. And I put special mention to Ipswich Libraries and the work that's going on there. Beautiful places, currently still investing in all aspects of the public library service, from digital to physical. And we're reinventing ourselves in many other ways. In the US, bookless libraries. That was once unthinkable, but now in many places it seems almost inevitable. I still believe we are society's game changers. I've probably been in this business longer than the vast majority of you, and I've seen the changes that we've made. But mostly, I'm never cease to be amazed because we are extraordinary places that make extraordinary people. And I come back to this. Yes, digital is awesome, but it's just our enabler. Let digital carry the load, make it good, make it easy to manage, and then move on. Because over the next 2 decades, digital will fail to rival us in these 4 purely human characteristics: empathy, sympathy, passion, and curiosity. And more than ever, after COVID, if there is an after COVID, people will want access to actual people, even when digital works perfectly. Excellence in digital is, to me, it is important, but nothing nearly as importantly as the enabling it gives us to work with people, to connect, engage, and make a difference. And more than ever after COVID, those people are going to need us. And this is our USP. I see us becoming more kindness hubs, gathering social places, bringing socially isolated people together again in the physical world. People will hunger for that getting together, as we all felt when we were locked down on our own at home. People will hunger for that space, and lives are one of the few free spaces in the world where they can do this. Human encounters, storytelling, and physical artifacts will become more and more valuable. And freed up by an easily managed digital presence, we will be able to place great people-to-people experiences in our libraries. Post-pandemic, there'll be no such thing as normal, I'm afraid. So this conference to me is ideally at the right time for us all to have a huge rethink of what we're going to do next. And the leaders of the future will be thinking connections, not collections. And I love the fact that this conference is bringing so many people together, 1,000 people across the globe. And by working together internationally, we can shape a more resilient and inclusive hybrid library experience. Pre-COVID, we wouldn't have been able to do this. We're now in a much better position to see what actually comes out of this conference and where we go next. And we need to nurture new leaders. They need to step up. The young people that are coming up have a different idea of the world, a different vision, a different skill set. And we need to help them sell a new vision, work on a plan to pivot real change, to reposition, modify, and shift course. So what we have to do here is be pushy and lose the quiet modesty. Get yourself to the top table and be the go-to people. If one of the things I could ever say I was good at in my career was being pushy and losing the modesty and getting pushy at the top table. So it's something we have to say, we are strong, we can do it. The reason I say all of that is because libraries are just like pandas. We're all in favour and we get a warm, fuzzy feeling about them. But saying how much we adore them doesn't protect bamboo munchers or libraries from extinction. I know Hannah also referred to R.D. Langston, and I have to also put this quote up here. Librarians transform communities by weaving together the brilliance of its people and the result is called a library. Perfect. So what I say here is, be the solution, because who owns the future of the public library? Only you. You do. So thank you. Go turn whispers into roars.